Hi, boys and girls. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Make sure you thank your mom for being such a great woman. Give her big hugs and kisses. Tell her how much you appreciate her. All right, enough of that. Here we go. We're going to read today. We're going to read Mrs. McNosh Hangs Up Her Wash. And we're going to do two things with our book. Number one, I like this book so much because it's a rhyming book. And the second part is we're going to figure out what the main idea of this book is. Usually we talk about main idea when we talk about nonfiction text, but today we're going to read main idea and figure this out with Mrs. McNosh Hangs Up Her Wash. Are you ready? All right. This is by Sarah Weeks. Here's Mrs. McNosh. She's doing her wash. And one of the things that I like about this is it reminds me of when I used to do wash with my grandma. She had a washboard like this and she had a big basin. It wasn't like this barrel, but she had a basin, and every Saturday I would go to her house and we would do her wash. And we would start by rubbing it on the washboard like that, soaking it in the tub, and then we'd send it through a wringer. And that's just some of my favorite things and memories from my grandma. So that's why I like this book too. She reminds me of my grandma. All right, that's Mrs. Nellie McNosh. Each Monday at dawn, Mrs. Nellie McNosh brings out a barrel and does a big wash. It takes her all morning, and when the sun's high, she hangs what she's washed on the clothesline to dry. She hangs up the dresses, she hangs up the shirts, she hangs up the underwear, nightgowns, and skirts. She hangs up the stockings, she hangs up the shoes, she wrings out the paper and hangs up the news. Now that's a little silly, isn't it? There's the stockings and the shoes, but then she hangs up the newspaper. Oh, Mrs. McNosh. She hangs up the dog and his dish and his bone. She gets a wrong number and hangs up the phone. Silly lady. Poor dog, he doesn't know what's going on. Uh-oh. She hangs up a hat and an old wedding gown and two sleepy bats, which she hangs upside down. That's what bats like to do, huh? There's the wedding gown. There's the phone that she hung up. Silly Mrs. McNosh. She hangs up a lamp and a large Christmas wreath and Grandpa McNosh's removable teeth. She hung up his teeth. We call those dentures. She hangs up a kite by the tip of its tail. The postman arrives and she hangs up the mail. Nothing's safe when you're around Mrs. McNosh. She hangs till she's hung, every last thing in sight, including the turkey she's roasting that night. Each Monday by dusk, Mrs. Melly McNosh has finally hung up the last of her wash. She takes off her apron and lets down her hair. Then she hangs herself up in a comfortable chair. Oh, Mrs. Nellie McNosh. So did you hear the rhyming words in the story? We're going to kind of go over some of those today. Like McNosh, which word in the story rhymed with McNosh? You're right. It was wash. Mrs. McNosh hung up the wash. Those words are rhyming words. Are they spelled the same at the end? No. But do they sound the same? Yes. Nosh, wash. Hear that? Let's try another one. All right. Remember, the word high was in our story. She hung them up high so they could dry. That's one of our rhyming pairs. High and dry. Are they spelled the same at the end? No. Do they sound the same at the end? Yes. They're rhyming words. All right. How about tail? She hung the dog up by its tail. She also hung up the mail. Now these sound the same and look the same at the end. That's a rhyming word pair. Good job, boys and girls. All right, I'll give you another one. She hung up the shirts and she hung up the skirts. Excellent job. Shirts and skirts rhyme. She hung up the dog's bone and she hung up the phone. Bone and phone rhyme. Good job. She hung up a Christmas wreath and she even hung up Grandpa McNosh's teeth. Wreath and teeth rhyme. All right, I'm going to give you this one. She hung up the news. Remember the newspaper? What's something that would rhyme with news that she hung up? Do you remember? She hung up some shoes. News and shoes are rhyming words. All right, at the end of the story, she let down her hair so she could sit in a comfortable chair. Hair and chair rhyme. All right. She had her wedding gown and it was hanging, whoa, down. Gown and down rhyme. I had it hanging down, didn't I? Gown and down rhyme. And the last one. It was quite a sight, but she finally got done at night. Oh, I did it again. Night and sight rhyme. They sound the same at the end. All right. Good job, boys and girls. See if you can find more rhyming words in the books that you read, or maybe some of the words that you say when you're talking to your parents or your friends. All right, we'll be back in just a second to talk about main idea of the story. So when we think about the main idea of a text, what we want to know is what was the text mostly about? So if we were going to tell somebody this text is about, what would you say? So when we look at Mrs. McNosh hangs up her wash, what was the text mostly about? Her hanging up her wash. Now, did she just hang up wash? No. So let's expand on what we think that main idea is and go for the whole entire text. She didn't just hang up her wash. What else did she hang up? She hung up a wedding gown. She hung up her shoes. She hung up the mail. She hung up a newspaper. She hung up a phone. So basically, she hung up anything that came close to her. Anything that she could hang on that laundry line, she did. So the main idea of our text is Mrs. McNosh hangs up basically anything she sees on her wash. So if you have a graphic organizer like this and you can make your own, you can stop the video and make your own if you want. I'm not going to write in mine. I'm just going to show you how I would use this to organize my thoughts. Up at the top, I would write, Mrs. McNosh hangs up everything on her laundry line. There you go. That's what the whole book was about. Anything that she could get, she hung up. Now, the details at the bottom are the clues that told us that she did that. Now, she hung up a lot of stuff. So there's more than just 3 clues, but this just gives you an idea, okay? So what was something she hung up? She hung up her clothes. So we could write that. Would that fit with the main idea that she hung up everything? Sure. What about this? She hung up the phone on the laundry, right? We could put that there for a clue. What else did she hang up? She hung up the Christmas wreath. We could put that for a clue. She hung up the dog. She hung up all kinds of things. So anytime you're looking for the main idea, you want to know what the text was mostly about, and then the clues or the details that tell you that that's what it's about. And that's how you organize your thoughts. Okay? So the main idea, Mrs. McNosh hangs up everything that comes in contact with her. And I'm going to give you some clues of how I knew that. She hung up this, she hung up this, she hung up this. Pretty easy, right? Pretty simple text for that. When you're thinking about books and you're trying to remember and understand them, a good way to do that is to think about the main idea and the details. That will help you remember the story and understand it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Bye.